What if I told you that in a country known for its vibrant carnivals, samba dancing, and the world's largest Catholic population, Islam is quietly but powerfully taking root? Imagine a place where the call to prayer echoes through bustling streets, where mosques are filled not just with Muslims, but with curious non-Muslims eager to learn about Islam. This is not a scene from the Middle East or Southeast Asia. This is Brazil. How did Islam, a religion often misunderstood in the West, find its way into the heart of Latin America? And what does its growth tell us about the power of faith, curiosity, and community? Brazil, a name that conjures images of golden beaches, the Amazon rainforest, and the electrifying energy of Rio de Janeiro's carnival. It's a country synonymous with joy, diversity, and a deep-rooted Catholic tradition. But beneath the surface of this vibrant culture lies a lesser-known story: the rise of Islam in Brazil. Today, Brazil is home to over 2 million Muslims, making it the second-largest religion in the country. Mosques are sprouting up in cities like São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and Brasilia, and the call to prayer can be heard in neighborhoods where halal butcher shops and Islamic centers are becoming commonplace. But how did this happen in a nation where Catholicism has dominated for centuries? To understand this phenomenon, we must journey back in time to the arrival of enslaved Africans in the 16th century, and then fast forward to the modern era, where a new generation of Brazilians is discovering Islam. This is a story of resilience, curiosity, and the unyielding power of faith. The history of Islam in Brazil begins with a painful chapter: the transatlantic slave trade. Between the 16th and 19th centuries, millions of Africans were forcibly taken from their homelands and brought to the Americas. Among them were Muslims, men and women who carried their faith in their hearts, even as they were stripped of their freedom. Historians estimate that around 40,000 Muslim Africans were brought to Latin America, with Brazil receiving the largest share. These enslaved Muslims were skilled artisans, scholars, and leaders in their communities. They brought with them not just their labor, but their culture, traditions, and faith. In the sugarcane plantations of Brazil, these Muslims secretly practiced their faith. They prayed in hidden spaces, recited the Quran in whispers, and passed down their knowledge to their children. But under the brutal conditions of slavery, their Islamic identity was systematically erased. Many were forced to convert to Catholicism, and over time, the visible presence of Islam faded. Yet, the legacy of these early Muslims endured. Their resilience planted the seeds of Islam in Brazilian soil, seeds that would lie dormant for centuries before sprouting anew. The story of Islam's revival in Brazil begins in the early 20th century, with the arrival of Arab immigrants. Fleeing political instability and economic hardship in the Middle East, thousands of Arabs, many of them Muslims, settled in Brazil. They brought with them their language, culture, and faith, and began to rebuild the Muslim community. In cities like São Paulo, these immigrants established businesses, mosques, and cultural centers. They married local Brazilians, raising families that blended Arab and Brazilian traditions. Over time, the Muslim community grew, but it remained small and tightly knit. The real turning point came in the 1970s and 1980s, when Brazil experienced an economic boom. Arab countries, particularly those in the Gulf, invested heavily in Brazil's infrastructure and industries. This economic partnership brought not just money, but also a renewed interest in Islam. Saudi Arabia and other Gulf nations funded the construction of mosques and Islamic centers, helping to establish a visible Muslim presence in Brazil. While Arab immigrants laid the foundation for Islam in Brazil, the religion's rapid growth in recent decades is largely due to native Brazilians embracing Islam. Every day, in cities across the country, 3 people convert to Islam. These new Muslims come from all walks of life: students, professionals, artists, and even former Catholics. What draws them to Islam? For many, it's the religion's emphasis on social justice, equality, and community. In a country marked by stark economic inequality, Islam's teachings on charity and compassion resonate deeply. Others are drawn to the simplicity and clarity of Islamic rituals, such as prayer and fasting. One of the most remarkable aspects of Islam's growth in Brazil is the role of women. Many female converts cite Islam's emphasis on modesty and respect as a key factor in their decision to embrace the faith. They find empowerment in the hijab, which they see as a symbol of dignity and self-respect. To understand the vibrancy of Islam in Brazil, one need only visit the Brás neighborhood in São Paulo. Here, the call to prayer echoes through the streets, and the scent of halal food fills the air. The neighborhood is home to the largest mosque in Latin America, a stunning structure that serves as a hub for the Muslim community. But what makes Brass truly unique is its openness. Non-Muslims are welcome to visit the mosque, attend classes, and learn about Islam. It's not uncommon to see groups of schoolchildren, dressed in hijabs provided by the mosque, listening intently as an imam explains the basics of Islam. This openness has fostered a spirit of curiosity and dialogue. Many non-Muslims who visit the mosque leave with a deeper understanding of Islam, and some even choose to convert. It's a testament to the power of education and the importance of breaking down barriers. Despite its growth, the Muslim community in Brazil faces significant challenges. One of the most pressing is the shortage of imams and religious scholars. Many mosques, particularly in smaller cities, struggle to find qualified leaders to guide their congregations. This shortage is partly due to a lack of funding. While Gulf countries have invested in mosque construction, there has been less support for Islamic education and training. As a result, many young Brazilian Muslims grow up without a deep understanding of their faith. Another challenge is the spread of misinformation about Islam. In a country where Catholicism is deeply ingrained, Islam is often misunderstood. Media portrayals of Muslims as extremists or outsiders have fueled prejudice and discrimination. Yet, despite these challenges, the Muslim community in Brazil remains resilient. They are finding innovative ways to share their faith, from social media campaigns to interfaith dialogues. And they are building bridges with other communities, showing that Islam is not a foreign religion, but a universal message of peace and justice. The future of Islam in Brazil will depend largely on the leadership of its community. Today, many mosques are led by imams who were born and raised in Brazil, blending traditional Islamic teachings with Brazilian culture. These leaders are not just religious guides, but also community organizers, educators, and advocates. One such leader is Sheikh Ahmed Ali, the Imam of the Brass Mosque. Born to Lebanese immigrants, Sheikh Ahmed has dedicated his life to building bridges between Muslims and non-Muslims. He regularly hosts open houses at the mosque, inviting locals to learn about Islam and ask questions. But not all leaders share this open approach. Some imams, particularly those trained in more conservative traditions, are wary of engaging with non-Muslims. They fear that too much openness could dilute the faith or lead to misunderstandings. This tension between openness and conservatism is a defining feature of Islam in Brazil. How the community navigates this tension will shape its future. Will it embrace a more inclusive Brazilian-style Islam, or will it retreat into isolation? As the sun sets over the Brass Mosque, casting a golden glow over the bustling streets, the Muslim community gathers for iftar. The air is filled with laughter, the aroma of traditional dishes, and the warmth of community. In this moment, it's clear that Islam in Brazil is not just about the past, it's about the future, a future built on faith, tolerance, and the unbreakable bonds of humanity. With that said, thanks for watching. And until next time, remember, the story of Islam in Brazil is a reminder that faith knows no borders, and that the light of truth can shine even in the most unexpected places.